All right, so today we're going to be talking about Chapter 5, Lesson 6. This is called Use, or Using the Pythagorean Theorem. So the Pythagorean Theorem works really, really well if it's in math world, and it's a pretty simple triangle. But there are triangles all over around us in the real world. So we want to see if we can utilize the Pythagorean Theorem to help us solve a variety of problems. Please, 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 it is useful to use a diagram to help us determine which part is unknown in a right triangle. Please draw pictures. Pictures are very helpful, especially when it comes to geometry and shapes. So, example 1. It says, write an equation that can be used to find the length of a boat ramp. Then solve, round to the nearest tenth. So I'm looking for this side here. How long the boat has to travel. Not this length, not this length, but the length the boat has to go in order to get from the top of the ramp to the bottom of the ramp. You like my boat? So I'm going to solve or substitute each one of these three numbers, this one I don't know, in for these variables. So 4.2 is going to be represented by A, so I'm going to do 4.2 squared. 25 is represented by B, so 25 squared equals C squared. Now, as I go through this, 4.2 squared is 17.64. Now, I know it says to round to the nearest tenth, but we never round until the very end. 25 squared is 625, and I don't know what that length is. That's the length I need to find out. If I add these two numbers together, I get 642.64, and that equals C squared. I then need to take the square root of this, and if I do that, I get 25.35, rounding to the nearest tenth, so 25.4, include units, feet. This is a word problem, so this number has meaning. So the boat ramp is 25.4 feet long. Example 2. It says, write an equation that can be used to find the length of the backboard. Again, on this diagram here, this is the length then. It says, then solve and round to the nearest tenth. So if I use this triangle here, this is going to be represented by A, that's by B, and this is C, because this is the longest length. This is the hypotenuse. It's the diagonal of this rectangle. So A is represented by 42. I don't know what B is. And C is 83.4. Now, 42 squared, this would be a calculator problem, but 1,764 plus B squared, and then 83.4 squared is, again, calculator problem, but 6,955.56. In order to solve for B, I have to subtract 1,764 from both sides. This creates a zero pair. And I'm left with B squared equals 5,191.56. if I go ahead and find the square root of that number, again, we need to round, but 5,191.56, the square root of that is 72.05, which rounded to the nearest tenth would be 72.1. Of course, each number in a word problem has a meaning, so the backboard is 72.1 inches long. Last part, Pythagorean theorem in 3 dimensions. So Pythagorean theorem, we can also use it to find missing measures in 3-dimensional figures. So a 3-dimensional figure would be like a pyramid, a prism, a sphere, cylinder, cone, things of those natures. So in example 3 then, it says the slant height of a pyramid is the height of each lateral face. The lateral face is the side kind of going up from the base. So it says, what is the slant height of the pyramid shown? Round to the nearest tenth. What works for me is it tells me the height, it tells me the length here. I need to find out what the slant height is. I have a triangle. So sometimes what works for me is to simply take that triangle out. Where this is 11 centimeters, this is 4 centimeters, and this is the missing side. So literally what I did was I took this triangle here and moved it out. I'm then going to have A, B, and C. So if I utilize this shape here, A would be 4, B is 11, and C is my unknown. So A is 4, B is 11, and C is my unknown. 4 squared is 16. 11 squared is 121. Combine those two, I get 137 equals C squared. Now again, here it says round to the nearest tenth. So the square root of 137 is 11.70. So C is equal to 11.7. So the question says, what is the slant height of the pyramid? So the slant height of the pyramid is 11.7 centimeters. All right, that is the end of lesson 6. If you have any questions, please let me know.